Going. Good evening, everybody. Tonight is May 18th, 2026. It's 6:04. I'm going to start the Winthrop Town Council meeting. Roll call. I think everybody, did you say Shannon's?
Shannon will be here.
Shannon will be here
a little late
shortly, but Aaron White is online and the rest are present right now. So we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Flag. All right, let's gonna open this up to public comment. Yes, please. Today is it's 18th. Yes, 18th of 2026. I may have misspoke. Kind of frantic today. Go ahead. Thank you.
Is this volume okay?
Yes, sounds like it's.
My name is Carrie Ann Wilkins. I'm a resident of Winthrop for 30 plus years, former Winthrop ambulance personnel. It was volunteer back in the day, but I'm proud to say my son, William Grimes, is currently on the Winthrop Police Rescue. Raised my kids here. I'm very proud to be a resident here. So more recently, the last 9 to 10 months, I have been part of the Town Charter Committee, and I want to speak to something regarding that. The job of the Winthrop Town Charter Committee is to review and propose revisions to the current town charter. Side note, the last review was in 2007. A mission statement was incorporated to include core values of respect, safety, trust, observability, communication, diversity, inclusion, and accountability. The members of the Town Charter Committee unanimously voted on the verbiage. One of the goals is to actively engage community members of Winthrop, ensuring they feel heard and provide valuable input to foster enhanced confidence in Winthrop local government for current and for the future generations. The municipalities of Maine's constitution allows to alter and amend town charter details. The Winthrop Town Charter Committee's job is to review and recommend, thus updating changes to the Winthrop Municipal Charter. There are presently 9 members of the Winthrop Town Charter Committee. Am I right on that one? Okay. I feel fortunate to have been elected to serve on this committee. I personally have enhanced my knowledge of local government. I've learned a lot. I've heard a lot of the good, the not so good, which leads to the cliche, the ugly. I thank each and every member of the Winthrop Town Charter Committee for everyone's contribution, knowledge, and experience. I believe good work was done. I do hope the Town Council reviews how dedicated this unique group of persons has been the last 9 to 10 months. That being said, my conscience dictates to speak to the proposed mission statement of core values: respect, safety, trust, observability, communication, diversity, inclusion, and accountability. In the spirit of time, I choose to zone in on respect and communication, thus leading to accountability. My statement this evening does not in any way diminish all of the other values. Respect. It feels as though certain members shared outwardly disdain for a particular family, as well as the town manager. Sharing such opinions is not a goal of the Town Charter Committee. Communication. On more than one occasion, let's just say many, a respected family in the community was named. It is my personal opinion, this is not sharing respect. Communicating out loud to the town of Winthrop, Maine, personal agendas, naming names again, and again, despite being asked not to, does not equal respect. Continually sharing opinions of the town manager in blatant language does not incorporate respect, not one bit. I appreciate each individual on the Town Charter Committee. I know some better than others. Some I've known for 25 plus years. Others I've only learned to know in the last 9 to 10 months. As proud as I am of all the hard work we, the Town Charter Committee, have endured, I feel compelled to share disappointment of the continued theme of attacking the town manager, as well as a respected family here in Winthrop. And there's been others called out as well. I am asking personally to the persons who have chosen to be outspoken to formally apologize. You know who you are. I believe the Steele family and the town manager, Anthony Wilson, more than deserve a public apology for what I personally describe as gross misconduct. Statements that communicate non-respect, and I might emphasize, were not, let me repeat, not on the Town Charter Committee agenda. I could say more. Let me end with a few other sentiments. Dirigo, the Maine state motto. I lead. On the Maine state seal, the top of the seal shows the North Star, a guiding light, a beacon which likely was derived historically from mariners, the North Star guiding them. In Winthrop, we have the many ponds, streams, lakes. Our guiding light is not just the Ladies' Delight Lighthouse, it is the future generations. What can we teach our future generation? Look to the proposed Town Charter Committee mission statement. The Maine I know, the Maine I love, is wicked stubborn, wicked resourceful, and kind, which equals respect. Dirigo, I lead. I encourage the current Town of Winthrop officials to take a step back, take a breath, take a moment. None of us, including myself, is perfect. We can all be passionate. Sometimes there are misunderstandings. There are times and places to share our own opinions. I feel public officials may need to consider checking themselves in that, is my statement my own agenda? Is my statement beneficial? The mission statement proposed shares ensuing people to feel heard. I say, let's also be kind, not rude. When we speak, please let us be kind. Let us foster confidence in Winthrop local government for current and future generations. Let us be the spirit of Dirigo, I lead. Let us speak our minds. Let us be kind with a hint of stubbornness and true Maine ingenuity, and let us do wicked good things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate your words, and I think you guys did, as I think I said at the Charter Commission, all had good intentions of being there, and I appreciate you being elected, which was great. And I know a few people had volunteered as well, but taking part in one of the committees in Winthrop, because there's always a lot of holes and a lot of places that need it. So thank you so much.
Have a great night.
I want to say thank you for speaking, having the courage to get up there and speak. And I agree with everything you said.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
ditto.
First class presentation, Kevin.
Yeah,
Exactly.
thank you. And I think you emphasized what's really important, right? We're a community, we're a team, and it's important we all kind of lean on each other, even when we're critical of one another. So, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. So thank you again.
Have a great night, guys.
Great, thanks. All right. Very good. We're going to move on to the next. We're going to go on to items 90. It's a public hearing for YMCA Camp of Maine Special Amusement Permit application. I'm going to open up the discussion at 6:14. Jeff, do you want to come up to the podium in case people have questions for you? Be easier that way. Thank you.
Jeff, is this the first amusement permit you've applied for?
Yes, sir.
You're not going to have any wild parties down there, anything, stay up all night?
No,
Voting safety class might get exciting.
Any other questions for Jeff? Any other questions from the public? Seeing none, we're just, let's close that part of it. Closing the public hearing at 6:14. Thank you, Jeff.
thank you.
Items 91, special consideration or consideration of special amusement permit, new application for YMCA Camp of Maine.
So moved.
Move. So moved.
Second.
We move. Who knows?
Any other discussion by the council? Okay, all in favor? Aaron?
Yep.
All right, all are in favor. Thank you. Items 92, consideration of transient seller permit application from the Wandering Quilt Shop LLC. Good evening. Great. Can you state your name, please?
Michelle Quinn, owner.
Great, thank you for coming. Anybody have any questions for Michelle? Seeing none? Okay, great, thank you. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion. Transient seller permit for the Wandering Quilt Shop LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
In favor.
All are in favor. Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, we're moving on to items 93, consideration of transient seller permit application for, is that, I don't know, someone can help me out. Is it any
Any mama?
You know-
minimums?
Is that how that goes?
Very unique name. I like it. I just can't say it. So anybody here from that organization? I don't see anybody.
So this is essentially a renewal. They've
Okay.
had a permit for several years. They own a food cart that sells, or food truck that sells Filipino style food.
Very good. Great. Any discussion with it? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the transient seller permit for any mamas?
Okay.
Second.
Great. All right, all in favor? Aaron?
In favor.
Okay, all are in favor. Thank you, everyone. All right, now we're going to put it on the table because I'm just going to do that because of items 94, discussion with the assessor, Rob Duplessis, for reevaluations. He was sick, so we're going to be putting that off to the next meeting. So,
Hey,
Anybody?
hey, Jim,
yes, sir.
can I add in an item there rather, just for recognition for EMS week?
Sure.
Okay, I'll just gonna read like the declaration.
Okay. You want to do that right now?
Sure,
prepared?
might as well,
Okay.
just in that place
Yep.
since he's not gonna be here.
No, let's go ahead and put that in there right now. If you're prepared, we'll let you take the
Yep.
floor.
Sure. So this is EMS week proclamation to designate the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services fills healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week. And so therefore, we hereby proclaim the week of May 17th, 23rd, 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week. And we encourage all those to honor our EMS professionals whenever you see them out and about, to give them a thanks. And that's it.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. And I really appreciate all the hard work from the EMS team, so down here. Thank you, guys. All right, let's move on to items 95. Consideration of the interlocal agreement with the towns of Manchester, Monmouth for animal control services. It must be us too, right? So we're
Yes.
here.
So I mentioned to you folks when we last met that we were going to bring this agreement to you so that Manchester, Monmouth, and Winthrop could team up together to provide animal control. So as you probably know, our police officers are currently providing that service. I've spoken with Chief Erlin about this on a number of occasions, and he'd really like to remove that responsibility from officers so that they can really focus on their core law enforcement responsibilities as opposed to chasing stray dogs, for instance. So under this proposal, each community would pay $5,000 annually. That cost has been included in the police department's proposed FY27 budget. It also provides for additional cost sharing should the cost exceed that amount. As I mentioned, Chief Erlin does support this. We have the town attorney finalizing some language regarding insurance coverage. It's really just sort of technicalities, if you will. And so what we're here tonight is to recommend that the council authorize the town manager to execute this agreement.
Go ahead, Roy.
First of all, I asked you before the meeting, but I was wondering, Paul, do you know how many calls there were? Like the year, last year?
I don't have those statistics. If I can get them if you need them, but I know our guys are handling anywhere between 5 and 10 calls a week just for loose dogs, aggressive dogs.
All right.
It really is time consuming.
Okay. My other questions I had, I was just curious as to what the volume was. I had no idea. So, my other question I had was insurance. You mentioned insurance. Are those costs all figured out as part of coming out of the, or allocated for an expense for the for the expense of the employee, or
Yeah.
I'm talking insurance, or what it's going to do to our workers' comp?
Yeah,
All
so
that stuff is accounted for, correct?
yes, so that's part of the delay in having this sort of finalized is we've been working both with the MMA and with the town attorney. When the animal control officer, ACO, as we like to refer to them, is providing service within a community, if something should happen, it's that community's responsibility. And so their general liability insurance will cover anything that happens regarding the ACO within their jurisdiction. That's
In each community.
That's correct. And so that's part of the agreement.
I'm talking the costs associated with workers' comp, with any insurance or anything that might.
Yeah, so that's all part of their insurance premiums for their different types of coverage.
Okay, so each town's going to have its own.
That's correct.
So the only thing, I read through this, I just read through it again. The only thing I see here, is there any chance that we can put in here some sort of language where we look at it, say, we reassess it? I know the contract is only a year,
Right.
but I would want to reassess what the numbers look like for each community and see, one community is way high or way low. I think that we, in receiving 2/3 of the calls that other communities are, I think we need to adjust.
I agree with you. And so the way that the ACO will be paid, it will be based upon the number of hours that he's providing in each town. So if he's being paid a base rate, so if he's spending more time in Manchester than he is in Monmouth, and Manchester's going to pay more, is going to come out of their $5,000 kitty than would come out of the rest of ours kitty. So
It's not just
that's correct.
the communities.
That's correct.
Breaking it up by the work.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's in the language there too. I see that the parties prorate shared based upon call volume in each committee.
Linda? Microphone.
We've gone back and forth over the years on this. You know, we've had them, animal control officers, we haven't. I mean, in a lot of times, and I'd like to see it revisited after a year because we've had years where the officers have come in and said, we don't have many calls. So why are we spending the money? Before it was $10,000 we used to spend on it.
But by this agreement, we wouldn't be spending, right? We wouldn't be
Right,
spending.
you're only
right.
spending 5, but I'm just saying is I think we.
But we
ought to
wouldn't even
revisit
spend
it.
that though.
I think it's fair to have it revisited in a year.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And to be clear, the term on this is 1 year.
Yeah. That's,
It would begin this year, but it would expire in June 30th of 2027.
Who provides the service? Is it like a,
We hire someone as an as-needed part-time
really?
employee.
So it'll be a true employee. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not like yeah.
So am I correct in thinking that, you know, we're going to put in $5,000? Like I want to make sure that I understand it correctly with
Mhm.
this question. We're going to put in our $5,000 into the kitty, but our $5,000 is only going to be tapped for calls in Winthrop.
That's correct.
do you guys have any other questions?
Aaron has his hand
Yeah, I
raised.
do too. So go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. So under Section 6, equipment and resources, Winthrop shall provide the ACO with the primary tools and equipment necessary to perform duties. Manchester and Monmouth may supplement equipment and resources as mutually agreed. Ownership of the equipment provided by each municipality shall remain with each municipality unless otherwise agreed upon in writing. Do we know what that looks like as far as equipment resources? Are we talking about like a vehicle or is it just like the animal
no,
poles and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
it is not a vehicle. It's things like traps and cages and
poles,
pitch poles,
Okay.
gloves.
I'll jump in.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Chief, have you ever, I doubt this, but has there ever been occasion where you would need to use a tranquilizer gun?
We have not had that occasion as of yet. I've been in
Meeting's not over yet.
dangerous dog complaint. We've never had to go to that extreme. The catch poles always have provided us with everything we needed to do when it comes to that.
Okay, I just, if that ever came to pass and our three-town employee was hurt for failure to have a tool like that, I wondered what it would cost if we ended up having to get a tool like that, purchase a tool like that, that's all.
Chief,
I'm sure you're not prepared to answer that at this point,
quick question, or maybe it's for Anthony too. Just with that, when we're talking about, obviously it's a contractor then that we're hiring.
That's
So
correct.
there's going to be no workers' comp really based out of so there's nothing coming up out of our regular payroll or anything that's going to be doled out that we're going to be supporting with this at all.
No.
And they're going to supply their own vehicle. I think Aaron asked that question. So that's going to be,
Yeah, they do get mileage.
sure. So that's going to be an additional,
Yes.
is that an additional too, or is that pull out of the pocket of money?
That's part of the 5,000.
Okay.
So is this like a 1099 subcontractor?
Yes.
Yeah, that answers that question. So
Okay. But we're providing insurance, don't they? You normally
Oh,
provide-
wait a second. Wait. No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. He's not a subcontractor. He's
Actually an employee.
actually a part-time as-needed employee.
yeah, but they're not covered with all the like health insurance and all that
No,
kind of stuff
no.
that we provide.
No, he receives no benefits.
Yeah. So it's like about, so that's the one flat fee that we're going to see.
Yes.
On that. Okay. I don't see any problem with it. I think it's probably important to have somebody around to help the community when they get, I know I've lost a dog every now and then and called you guys, and luckily I found him before you guys did, which was a good thing. But, so I know it's, you probably get a bunch of calls on it. So, I'm in favor of it, but, okay.
I'm good.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Actually have a vote.
That's correct.
Yeah, we could have a motion.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Ray.
Make a motion to authorize the town manager to execute an interlocal agreement between the towns of Manchester and Monmouth for animal control services.
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
In favor.
Aaron's in favor. Okay. All are in favor. Thank you, guys. All right, moving on to items 96, discussion of the fiscal year 2026-27 capital improvement program, CIP.
Okay, so we're back with maybe some firmer numbers and a refined proposal for you. And as with last time, we're not seeking any decision tonight. We're hoping that maybe that'll come at the next meeting. But I want to make sure that everyone understands this and has had time to consider it and is thoughtful about it. So at our last meeting, we had a couple of different topics that were raised. So I'm going to just tick through these one at a time. And as I do, if you have questions about that specific topic, then please weigh in. So the first question that we had last time was whether or not we could use TIF funds to offset the cost of streets and sidewalks improvements. And the answer to that is no. I talked with the town attorney about it. And the reason for that is not included in the town's TIF agreement with the state. So we can only do things that are outlined in that agreement, even though the TIF is no more, but the use of those funds is still dictated by that agreement. So we're not able to do that. Right now, the TIF fund has a balance of about $287,000. And in this coming fiscal year, we've budgeted to spend $32,000 of that. So $20,000 would be for legal costs because we're going to have to pay the town attorney to help us with the TIF application to the state. $7,000 would offset the cost of the town manager's salary. So to be clear, that doesn't mean the town manager gets an additional $7,000. It's meant to reduce the amount of taxes that are used to support the town manager's salary. And the same thing with the town planner, $5,000 for the town planner's salary. So if we use those funds for those purposes, it will leave the funds balance at $255,000. Okay.
Town planner salary, when was that amended? Did we amend that?
No, yeah, it's permitted under the town's amended agreement. So when the TIF was formed, Roy, there was an agreement, and at some point during the life of the TIF, that agreement was amended for some other purposes, and those speak to the different uses of the town's TIF funds.
Just curious on that because I'm assuming it was amended before you were here, before we were on the council.
Yes.
We just got a town planner.
So it's for staff purposes. So whenever staff is spending time on any sort of.
Specify the plan.
That's correct.
That's where I was going with that.
Yeah, that's correct.
We didn't have a planner.
Yeah. So once upon a time, we could have used that to offset the cost of the code enforcement officer for land use and development purposes.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a question towards that? I'm going to ask you.
Read this, it's 20,000 for legal, an additional 25,000 for cost to update the development plan. Is that correct?
The downtown development plan. So in order for us to form a downtown TIF district, as you heard from Reagan La Rochelle a few weeks ago, we have to have an updated downtown plan because of the number of things that Dawn currently has on her plate: solar ordinance, group living ordinance, and then the 3 state laws that we have to incorporate into our land use plan. She doesn't have the bandwidth in order to do this. So what we're looking to do is use a portion of these funds, the $287,000, to hire a consultant like Reagan in order to help us update the downtown plan so that we can tick that box whenever we apply for the downtown TIF.
The plan.
That's what I just said. So yes, she could if she wasn't also working on.
This is, I mean, how much are we talking about in terms of time? Is it just a matter of
It is not. It's going to be a months-long effort. So I've spoken with 4 consultants right now. And I'm awaiting quotes from two more of them. And their timeline is to try to get this done by the end of the year. At the same time, Don's having to, as I said before, update the solar ordinance, update our zoning ordinance to put some parameters around group home living situations. And then we've got 3 new state laws that we have to incorporate into the zoning ordinance. All of those things take a lot of time.
And money, but remember that we got a grant as well.
We did get a grant, and so that's going to offset $15,000 of the cost of incorporating those new state laws into the zoning ordinance. Thank you for reminding me about that, Aaron.
Andy had something towards this.
Yeah, just a quick question. It seems like quite a while back now, we started hearing about the downtown TIF district or downtown business TIF district, whatever you'd like to call it. But I'm not aware, unless I really missed something, that we actually decided that we were going to do that. At
we
some
haven't yet.
point, did we discuss that and vote on it, or?
I don't think that there's been a vote, but I think that there was consensus that
I
that's
think there
what
was
we
a
wanted to
consensus
do.
that that's what our direction we're going, but we can put it on the agenda for next time and put it to a vote. If it's something we can do. So we can put it on the agenda for next June 1st.
If we do that, then we'll all get a cleaner, a clearer, I should say, more appropriate word, idea of what our expectations are going to be
Sure.
of that project.
Yep.
And it might avoid
Yep.
controversy
Again,
later.
this is for discussion. So we're happy to put that on that. Linda?
Nope,
No.
don't forget the mic, Linda.
No.
Here we go.
Keep in mind,
However, that's 50 hours.
well, that doesn't mean that we're going to spend the full 20,000, but we're budgeting that much in anticipation of having to do this. And so this is one of the services that's not covered under our fixed fee contract with Bernstein Sure. And we are going to need, as we did the last time, we're going to need Bernstein Sure's help in
Right.
submitting the application to the state.
So Anthony, I just have a quick question because it revolves around the TIF, not to get us too sidetracked from what you're discussing, but looking at this and hearing you talk, I know Dawn's busy and I can appreciate having a lot to do, but where are we at? Must be getting pretty close with that solar ordinance to kind of put
Yeah,
that to
about-
bed. Because I can't expect
Okay.
that to go
I
out.
tell you, let's.
Yeah, no, I
let's-
just want to put it on the, for people to think
Let's,
about.
let's double back to that because I can
Yeah,
speak to that
that'd be
during the
good.
town managers.
That sounds
report.
great. So,
Okay.
thank you. No, I'll let you
Okay.
continue, please.
Okay. So the upshot of this is, we explored whether or not we could use TIF funds towards the CIP when it came to streets and sidewalks in particular, and it's not allowed under
Right.
the agreement.
I guess one quick question, just to put it in people's minds or put it in your mind. If we agree on an amount, set amount, and we hire a contractor, we don't have to use all set hours, or is it a fixed cost once we commit to it?
It'd be so if we hire a consultant to help
Correct.
us with that.
Yep.
It's like bidding a project. So,
Okay.
so they'll submit a bid and that's the cost.
There's
Understood.
going to be no contingency, correct?
Not
No going to be a contingency overage.
No,
like
this is,
No, I don't-
it's not like.
Yeah, I
a
want to get deep
construction
into it,
project.
but I just want to make sure. That's a good point, but I want to make sure. So,
And Aaron's hand is raised as well.
okay, yeah, I can't see that far. So, thank you. Go ahead, Aaron.
So I'm just hypothetically asking this, not making a suggestion. Since we know we can't use the funds for roads and
Sidewalks.
sidewalks, is there I mean, is it or would it be what's the word? I guess a good idea to consider increasing the amount towards the town manager and town planner's salary and then reappropriating the funds we would have otherwise been spending there to then use for sidewalks and paving? Is that something that's...
I'm going to speak to that next.
Okay. Thanks.
Here, hold on a second. Go ahead, Andy. Then I'll jump to Linda. Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, the legal issue with using the TIF to repair the sidewalks, just a wing-in question here. Might the problem be that we're doing a repair, not a capital improvement? And if that's the case, if there are places where we need sidewalks and there are none, would the TIF pay for that?
No. The
Okay,
TIF
good
under
enough.
the agreement, it would have to relate directly to the mill.
Good enough.
Thank you. Linda, you had a question for that? No? Okay, great.
Okay, so now let's talk about sidewalks. So the sidewalk capital reserve has a balance of about $17,000. That might buy us like an inch worth of sidewalk. I checked this past week with the Department of Transportation. Sidewalk replacement cost are anywhere between $1 million and $2 million. Well, because they do this, I mean, this is coming from the person who administers their grant program related to sidewalks. And so they see the construction cost of sidewalks. And I would say that our sidewalks are probably going to cost closer to $2 million than $1 million because they don't meet ADA requirements. And so when we improve sidewalks, we're going to have to incorporate all of those accommodations moving forward. There's no way within this capital improvement plan, including if we used more money to offset the town manager and the town planner's salary, there's no way that we're going to make any sort of meaningful progress with sidewalks within this CIP. So Shannon was the one who advocated for this at the last meeting. And so I spoke with her last week because this is my thought, and it plays off a little bit of what something Linda said at our last meeting. I think the more practical approach for this, if we're really going to make improvements in sidewalk, is we need to take a more holistic, systematic approach to this rather than just doing it piecemeal, like a few $1,000s a year. And so that would probably require issuing a bond in order to address all 5.5 miles of sidewalk. Maybe with the exception of the mile of sidewalk approximately that we have up and down Main Street, because we're still going to apply for the main DOT grant. Of course, I forward to you folks the email that I got, and we should cross our fingers really, really hard when we apply for that grant. But I think that what we should do is not include anything in this year's CIP for sidewalks. Let us spend the coming year doing research on what the cost would be and what the financing options would be. By then, our Public Works Director will have finished his analysis of our paving plan, and we may want to consider like a large bond in order to address roads and sidewalks all at the same time.
And I asked a question, Anthony.
Go ahead.
Is one of our problems that the sidewalk specifications are now, I think they're 4 feet wide, and we're going to get into right-of-way issues and we don't have enough room. You know, we can't just simply replace what we have. We have to upgrade to the new.
That's correct. So
standard.
our sidewalks are 3 feet wide. They have to be at least 5 feet wide to meet ADA
And then
compliance.
the other thing is Charles Street is basically closed to through traffic. Maybe we can get by with not even, doing anything over there except mark out a bike lane, walking lane. It's a one-way traffic. We don't have to go right down through that whole street and replace all the sidewalks 5 feet wide. We have a lot of school kids come down through that way, but if we mark a bicycle walking lane in Charles Street and there's still enough room for local residents to come and go, there aren't that many over there. That would save us, take a big chunk right out.
Zach, and after Andy, Zach, and then Linda. So
Is
question.
Kevin including this in his analysis with the roads? Or would we have to ask him to add that on to his probably grown list?
I've talked with Kevin about this approach.
Yeah.
He agrees with this approach.
Okay, I'd like to see that. I like that plan. I'd like to see the roads and sidewalks, see what he's got in his head, because present it to us and then we can make that decision, because that's a big cost, obviously, so.
Linda, go ahead.
The other thing I want to see is of the sidewalks we have, which ones make sense or don't make sense to actually improve. Because I'm not spending $10 million on 5 miles of sidewalk. I don't want to do that. I mean, if we can get away with the bike lanes or, whatever, then I think we go there because a lot more people are using the bikes now and everything else. So for me, that's where I'd like to see, where can we really absolutely need to have it, like obviously in the Main Street area. But beyond that, I'm not, just a lot.
Yeah, what's the usage?
What is the usage?
I'm kind of curious of what the law actually is, what the standard is. Because if we get a grant, we got to build a 5-foot wide sidewalk. If we don't get a grant, can we build a 3-foot sidewalk? What can pay for it?
No.
I think it's one of those things when you replace it, you have to replace it to code now. Yeah, it's grandfathered
And
in.
can we repair our existing sidewalks?
And just to give you an idea of the costs that are involved, Kevin has found that curbing, 1 foot of cement curbing, $40.
Yep.
1 foot.
Asphalt curbing.
You can do that, but you're gonna run into the same problem that we have right now where the curbs crumble.
Does roads and,
You know, the
and
process
all this,
as far as
right?
whether roads get improved and then sidewalks or sidewalks and then roads, because I know that he's looking at doing Nick Forest Ave, but at some point Green Street, Hanson Street, and Greenwood Ave, and then also right into the
Bowden Street.
yeah
Bowden.
Bowden Street. I mean, if he's paving those, would the sidewalks come in afterwards, or is that something that would be better?
You could do it either way.
Okay.
You could do it in conjunction with one another, or one after the other.
Roy, do you have something?
And I wonder if some of those streets could
On
be,
the, as far as widening,
Right.
I'm just looking for the technical piece of it here. Is it something we have enough room in the right of ways on those streets to actually take 2 feet toward the residences, or are we gonna be looking at taking 2 feet of the road?
I don't imagine we'd be taking 2 feet of the road.
It's like Greenwood Ave, for example, is a fairly.
And perhaps,
Talking,
so-
taking that much.
yeah, but that's some of the research that we would have
And I
to
would just
engage in.
wonder what that would do to the cost piece of it.
Mentioned to me previously was that, I mean, it can range anywhere from 1 to 3 million, and it usually goes higher because of the easements that have to be attained from residents. And so that's usually, I mean, both the widening and the easements.
If it's in a right of way, do we need easements?
Yeah.
If it's still within the right of way?
no.
I don't think so, but I'd want to check with the town attorney or MMA about
I
that.
mean, that figure of $2 million a mile just sounds ludicrous. I can see in the middle of Augusta where you have houses that are sitting right on the road and giant, we got a couple spots where we have.
Put sewer line down cheaper than that.
Okay, but and to your point, maybe, and because I didn't ask the question, 2 million, maybe that's for cement sidewalks as opposed to, pavement.
There
And
may
so-
be,
Well,
And so, but it may likely be 1.5 million. Nonetheless, it's still a lot of money, right?
a lot of money, and that even 1.5 million for picture Greenwood Ave to redo the sidewalks on Greenwood Ave. There's no retaining walls. I mean, there are a couple in town that we'd have to deal with, especially going down Main Street. But, well, I suppose moving utility poles, that's one thing I never.
Yes. And to be clear, I'm not here to talk about what we're going to do with sidewalks. I'm just here to talk about
Present what the,
that the CIP and FY27 is not the time and place to address
Well,
sidewalks.
it does
the
kind of
budget.
play a part. If we're talking 10 million or 3 million, it makes a
Well,
little bit of a
but
difference.
that
if we're
remains-
Thinking ahead.
But that remains to be seen
Right.
once we do the research to find out what the cost is and how we might tackle that.
Shannon.
So I was just thinking, I mean, as far as when like Roy just said, as far as planning ahead and in advance, what we're prioritizing now will impact what we do later. I mean, if we get certain things, a loader, what is that contributing towards? Is it something that can contribute towards the library drainage? When we're looking at sidewalks, is it something we want to do in conjunction with paving? I'd also ask if we've considered any of this TIF funding to kind of go towards, I mean, we have the downtown development plan, but we also have a 2011 bike and pedestrian plan, and it looks relatively new looking through it. And I know the middle school is actually doing like a study on the roads right now. I just got an email the other day, which I thought was great, and I hope that they would come. I challenged them to come to the council and present. But just, I mean, even looking at that plan. So when we start looking at that, that's the only reason why I bring it up, so we can plan long distance. I think bonding would be an option, but also considering when that would come in play with the revaluation and everything as well.
Yeah, and so as I said in the memo, I mean, it may well be that we do that and the cost is X million dollars, and you say, you know what, we think that's a great idea after FY28, you know, after people have sort of gotten accustomed to their new normal with their new values.
Thank you. Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I can't, sitting right here, just like no one else can, remember which streets are already one way and which ones aren't. But, you know, there's a way to probably avoid taking some property and run it into retaining walls by creating one-way traffic and using parts of the street right away. I think we're going to have to get very creative if we're going to do this. I really do. And this conversation, I don't think we ever intended to go down this path, but
No.
it's a good little exchange of ideas between all of us.
Sure.
Okay,
To continue.
so, yeah, so I think we put sidewalks in the parking lot right now.
Yes.
So that leaves us with the 7 high priority needs that we talked about last time. And we've gone back and we've gotten some more exact figures. And so now the total that we're looking for is 1.156 million. And let me just say too, I meant to start this on a positive note. You guys are in a really envious position right now. I don't know if you realize this or not. Hear me out, Linda. When you talk about our operating budget, our county assessment, the CIP, you're talking about $12.3 million. All we're worried about right now is a delta of $328,000 out of a $12.3 million budget. That's all we need to determine is how are we going to fund that $328,000. I think we've got some good options for you here. So of that 1.156 million, you've got the list there. Sure.
This is a priority list, correct?
It is.
Where was this generated?
Well, it was generated by the departmental directors and it was presented to you 2 weeks ago. And then
You didn't say, yes, we're going to go with this list.
I know, but we gave you guys the opportunity to say, do you like this? Do you want more off? Want more on? And that's when sidewalks came up.
We're just, we're still, I'm personally still deciphering and processing this as we're talking.
Okay.
The list.
And that's all well and good. But I also want you to have just a smidge of urgency because we got to get this thing approved in the next month. So anyway, we got the 7 high priorities there. If we use the $79,000 in the LED reserve fund towards either the police cruiser or the loader, that would leave us with that $328,000 gap that I just mentioned. And I don't want us to forget about or poo-poo drainage issues at the library. And Richard is here, and I'm happy to talk about this a little bit. But let's just say, for argument's sake, for the moment, that we use that $79,000 in the LED reserve fund towards either putting money aside for the future purchase of a loader or to purchase a police cruiser. So Nick and I are presenting you with 3 different options here. So number 1 is we could raise that full $328,000 through new taxation and preserve the 20% of operating expense that we have in our undesignated fund. The second option, it splits the difference, although not completely, in that you could draw an additional $225,000 out of the undesignated fund, which is something we talked about at the last meeting. And so that would leave you with raising an additional $103,000 through taxation. It would reduce the undesignated fund balance only to about 19%. So you're still in the ballpark of the 20% that the policy calls for. And number three is you appropriate the full $328,000 from the undesignated fund, don't raise any additional taxes, and that reduces the undesignated fund balance to about 18%. But, and so I feel compelled to bring this up again, that eventually at some point, a portion of the town's ongoing capital costs are going to have to be incorporated into the tax levy in order to ensure its stability and predictability. So we could this year and next year rely solely upon fund balance and surpluses in order to fund our capital needs. But eventually we're going to have to start raising enough to, for instance, pay for paving on an annual basis. So, in my opinion, the middle option provides the most balanced and responsible approach.
All right, go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, but I feel compelled to bring up the fact that our taxes in this community doubled in the last 10 years, 15 years.
Roy, you've hired me to be the town manager to present to you my professional opinion, and I'm suggesting something to you that I think is responsible. Like, we're not going to be able to just raise the same amount of taxes year after year after year and do the things that we're talking about tonight doing, like improving streets and sidewalks.
I just think coming up into this evaluation is a scary moment when it comes to going up significantly in taxes.
I'm going to repeat this for the gajillionth time. How much we raise in taxes this year, next year, the year after that is completely
Based on the
within
council.
the power of the 7 people sitting at this table. The revaluation does not mean immediate tax increases. It's completely within the purview of this body.
I got Aaron's hand up. You good, Roy, for a second? Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
So I definitely agree with that concern, Roy. I do. I just would reiterate that we have to remember also that the money that the town is taking in off the mill rate is based off of like a 67% capture of value in the community right now. So there, in theory, if we get the actual operating costs to be reflective of what we're getting in taxation, we should then be able to, with the reevaluation, dramatically decrease this rate, capturing 100%. Yes, that means some will go up, some will stay. I doubt many will go down on taxes. My preference is option 2, only because I just can't stomach getting up to a potential $25 mill rate right now. I would gradually like to try to get there. So I think that option 2 leaves us with some flexibility for priorities as well. I mean, again, these are the numbers we're looking at. And if you decided a different priority comes in, then you're just going to have to take with what we have allocated in option 2. And I think the LED reserve showing a $78,000 balance gives us significant flexibility as far as whether we use, if we had to use it for the drainage at the library, or like Anthony said, a police cruiser. That's obviously probably more than enough to do that. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
So the next item, we're going to ask you guys to make a decision on how you want to reappropriate that $79,000 in the LED fund. And so if I may, let me just talk. We opened the bids late on Thursday for the drainage project at the library, and I sent you guys an email about that. So we were very pleasantly surprised. We only got one bid, but it was from a very reputable local company, area company. And
Who was the bidder, Anthony?
it was Longfellow Landscaping.
Yep.
And the bid was 22,500, which was like nearly a third of what we were initially anticipating. Additionally, just so we don't lose sight of this, you know, the library would also like to replace its sign, which is estimated to be about $5,000, and repair those exterior steps, which is about another $7,500. So even if you decide not to use that $79,000 towards any of that, at the next meeting, I'm likely to come to you and recommend that we do the drainage project because it's affordable enough that we could just dip into the undesignated fund balance for that.
Anthony, would you please, you might have done this and I might have missed it, but would you please send me over a copy of the drainage contract?
We just received the bid on Thursday. We still have some discussions we have to engage in with the,
You'll present it to everybody so we can see it.
yes.
I'm
No, I
curious
just-
on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would really like to see it.
Curious on that. I would like to make sure that we make sure it's an all-inclusive contract. If we're gonna look at going forward with something like that, I would like to make sure that, he's very well aware of what he's bidding on, and we stick to the not automatically included 25% contingency.
Yeah, so I have not had a chance to talk with him because Kevin's out of town right now and I wanted him to be engaged in that conversation.
Yep.
Richard had a conversation with Mr. Longfellow last week. Is there anything you want to share about that, Richard? And if so, come to the microphone.
Like, we're not going to have any overages on electricity, and because he's talking about putting a pump under the frost line, and he is saying this is soup to nuts. This is everything. You're going to have a turnkey solution, and he's going to guarantee it. He also just did the same work at Kent's Hill, the same exact project in a spot where they were having the same problem.
Guarantee it's gonna be effective, correct?
Yep. He says his work is 100% guaranteed.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Any other, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't, it's nothing for Richard.
Okay.
But just in light of this whole thing, I'm in between option 2 and 3 right now because, but
Thank you, Richard.
this LED fund, Anthony, this was the money we had talked about last meeting about maybe using for the library projects, right? Is that
correct?
Okay. So if we do have to do the upgrades to the library, we're going to be, whatever. I like option 2. I really don't want to go up on taxes, but it's also kind of kills me to go low. So what I did was I went through and I built a little sheet here to kind of find cuts from the priority list. And I shared this with Anthony the other day when I was when we had a call, but I thought, these are estimate numbers anyways. So if we kind of appropriated some money to them, because I think it's important we put money in these accounts, but then reduce the value to keep it so we didn't have to raise taxes this year. That might be a compromise. And we could still use some of this LED money to help the library out, to put them in a better position. So I'm somewhere in between 2 and 3, but it does come in with basically reducing some of these values to get to a number that's a little more palatable. So.
Roy?
What is still unknown for revenues? We talked about not knowing completely what the revenues were going to be at the end of the year, like what we're going to have for.
Oh, you're talking about surplus.
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to be the next thing I was going to talk about.
All right. Well, I got something to talk about the CIP. Do you want to stay on track or do you want to jump to that, answer his question? Because
You're the chair.
we're done the answer or do you want me to jump in? Okay, very good. I'll jump in if anybody doesn't have anything. Just to talk about the CIP, what the topic that we're on right now. I'm inclined for the options too. I guess I'm like-minded, like my son, and we had that discussion, as I told you, and I couldn't put everything into mind. My first thoughts are to reduce some of those values down to make that needed to raise 103,000 to lose that in some of those priorities, reduce the, the amount we're saving for maybe for the loader, or what are we going to reduce the amount for a cruiser, or maybe reduce the amount that we're going to put for the communications. And, just reduce them all a little bit to kind of shrink that number. But my question, I guess, would be for the chief. Chief, how many, 81,000, we were looking to just put that in our capital reserve account to replace so many cruisers?
No, so we actually need to purchase a cruiser this year, and this would be outfitted for the K9.
Okay. And that's the total
And so
cost.
there is some additional cost
Okay.
involved with that. And so if we use that $79,000, let's say, Jim,
Sure.
for the cruiser, it's not going to cover the full cost of that cruiser, which is about $81,000.
Okay.
But we do have a police department vehicle reserve, and so we'd pull
The extra
whatever
to offset it.
that's correct.
Sure. Hold on, Linda. I also just to kind of tail into that as well. For the library, you did mention in the email, and I know I've been saying this multiple times because I wish Kevin was here and Richard's here at the same time, and the gentleman that's the bidder, is to what could we do from the town's perspective to scrape the shrubs, to scrape the bark mulch, which we know is holding the moisture there. I don't believe it flooded this year. I think the sump pump did its job, what it was supposed to do. To reduce that even more, to keep that cost down, because if they want to do a couple other projects, it's important for me to, how can we fit that into a better, smaller budget for everybody? I know you're saying you're inclined a lot to that we can control the mill rate, which is appropriate, and I'm happy to do so, and I want to do that when we do a reevaluation. But I also, and I've had this multiple discussion with you and this whole board, I'm trying to keep things as flat as we can as we ride into this thing, right? So I look at our priority list is our priority list, and we set amounts to that priority list. The one I know, or two things I know I'm committed to, is the ladder truck, and I don't want to waiver from that, and I know paving. Those are my top two things that I know that we need for in the town. Not saying, and any director, maybe listener here now, not saying they're not important either. I'm just saying budgetary wise, I put those to the top of my list.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it.
And I think as organizationally, we would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But to your question about what role Public Works might play in the library drainage project, that's a discussion that Kevin and I want to have with Mr. Longfellow.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do is also ask that he please be here on June the 1st so that he can answer all of y'all's questions.
That'd be fabulous. So Linda had something real quick. Okay, no worries. I'm sorry if I cut you off. Andy, go ahead.
It's all right. You get as bad as me, Linda. The other night I had to look at my book. I would like to know at the library, I know I was one of the people that encouraged the sump pump. And I would like to know if there's been any test boring to determine whether, where the natural groundwater level is there. How much are we, problems are we being created by roof runoff and surface absorption, the bark mulch and all that? Where's the natural ground level? Okay, because if the natural ground level is higher than the floor of the library, nothing's going to cure it except for the most efficient sump pump drainage system we can find. If it's surface water, then it's repairable.
I think we can probably have that discussion next meeting. Agreed. Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
As long as we do, please.
These cruisers out there, like the used ones, do we have to go out and buy them? So that's a question I have. And again, how long do these things last? Because it almost appears that we're redoing these cruisers every 5 years at every town around.
If you're going out looking for a used canine vehicle, there's a reason why it's being sold. And I'd caution you on that.
What was the cost of the last cruiser that we outfitted? We had one that was wrecked last year that we Roof funds for, wasn't that in the
They-
50s?
It was in the 50s, I think.
Yeah, the cost for the Explorers right now are right around 48.5 with the equipment in it. I mean, we've been going out with 60,500 just in case we have to replace equipment, because if you're replacing anything older than a 2020, the parts in it don't, from the old car, don't fit into the new one because they've changed the body styles on them. So you're talking about new cages, whatever you.
So the 60,000, you said 60,000 is what you are figuring?
Yes.
The 81,000, between, the difference between that and the 81 is,
The reason being is that with the equipment that we need for that canine, the cage in the back of it still it will allow to transport a prisoner plus have the dog. That kennel alone for that back of that cruiser is about 10 grand. It's heated, it's air conditioned. You have to maintain that, keep that dog safe while he's in the back. We were looking at either a Expedition or a Tahoe for that extra space that we need for the canine.
oh, so this isn't an Explorer.
Correct.
Oh,
And
okay.
right now, the Suburbans are excuse me, not the Suburban, the Tahoes running at $61,050. The Expeditions are running about 58, 59. So there isn't a whole lot of difference between them in cost.
Linda, Linda, Mike.
Sorry.
Yes,
One
sir.
of my questions also is, do we ever look at other dealers or anything in other states? Because it appears that some of the costs in the Northeast are a bit high. And I guess the question is, I want to just know, do we look at, purchasing, what the costs are in other, states?
Normal circumstances, we fall under main state bid. That's how we buy them, under the main state bid. So whatever state police pays for a cruiser is what we pay for a cruiser.
Chief, quick question that just popped in my head. The cruiser we're using today for the K9, I guess, and I'm sure you have your reasoning, but what is the reasoning to replace it this year?
The vehicle right now, it's a 2018,
Okay,
and we're looking to get between 8 and 10 years of service out of each cruiser.
okay,
This one now has roughly about 105,000 on it.
okay.
And in order to get a little bit better return on it, I think it's the time to turn it over.
Okay.
So,
Excuse-
so Chief,
Thank
this
you.
just occurred to me when you just said that. So the 81,000, that doesn't include any sort of
Trade-in.
trade-in or cost that we might,
Public sale.
revenue that we might receive from
Correct.
putting the cruiser out to
Correct.
bid. So
That's going to be.
So my,
even if it's $5,000,
It helps. So go ahead, Chief.
I was just going to say, my thought is, we had started incrementally putting money away into the cruiser reserve account. And if we are not going to continue doing that, we have roughly $20,000 in that account now. You can reduce the cost of that vehicle this year by 20,000 if you expend that.
Sure. No, that makes sense too.
well, except that I don't know that I would bring that all the way down to zero, because what if we have another wreck?
No, I completely get it. I'm just saying that makes sense as well. It's a viable option, but it makes sense.
Didn't we auction one of those off for about 10 grand there a while back?
Roy's needs to go. Go ahead, and then you can.
Quick, how many vehicles do we have total?
11.
11 total. So they're going to be, if we're getting 8 to 10 years out of them, we have 11 vehicles. Some years we're going to be needing 2 vehicles.
The problem is, and Anthony and I have discussed this, is 28, 29, 30. Some of those vehicles, I think we're in 1 year, you're talking 3 vehicles. So we were talking about how we can extend or work the rotation so that we're not getting hit all in 1 year. And that's something that we've been working on. I know we're bringing Nick into going to be bringing Nick into the conversation on how we can avoid that from happening going forward. It may mean keeping like a detective car on for 12 years instead of 10.
'Cause those don't see the mileage that others do, correct?
Correct. So extend the life out on those as long as they're not rotting underneath.
Right.
Then extend that life out to make the rotation a little more palatable in the future going forward.
One other question I had. Now, this to me seems like a pretty good expense to have the dog and on the force. Is there any chance, do we use him in other local communities? And is there
We
any
have put it out there for other local communities to utilize him.
Is that a contracted, or is that just?
No, that's just word of mouth. If you need a drug dog, give us a call, and if he's available, if he's working the road, we'll send him over. If not,
Is there any revenue generated from that? I guess
No.
is what I'm going to.
no.
I'm just wondering if there was, is there any, do you have anybody picking you up on that offer?
Again, working with, the only ones that we've worked with is Monmouth on traffic stops, but
Yeah.
it's a community effort in this regard
Yeah.
because we're so in such close proximity, but no, we have not extended out to any other departments. A lot of other departments have their own drug dogs that they utilize, so.
Yeah, I was just curious if there's any source of revenue with the dog that we can contract him out to, in
Well,
order to generate some of the costs, recoup some of the cost of, so. like-
we'll just keep in mind, so crime doesn't respect boundaries. So if someone's dealing drugs in Monmouth, guess where they're also dealing drugs?
Oh, no doubt.
Hmm.
I'm not against the dog at all. I'm just wondering if we could generate some of the costs.
Well, yeah, all I'm saying is there's a benefit to our community if the dog is, for instance, used in Monmouth to help bring down a drug dealer.
Yeah, I have a problem at all with Monmouth at this point. We have enough swapping back and forth with Monmouth. That's kind of a.
Yeah, well,
And I would caution on that, just because where do we stop? I mean, Maine Drug Enforcement calls us to assist them on a warrant in Manchester. Are we going to send a bill to Maine Drug Enforcement for the use of the canine? No, because we get it back from them as well. They come in as a resource to our community and give us a tremendous amount of assistance in taking care of the drugs within this community. You start throwing out bills like that, number one, they're going to laugh at you and say, well, I'm just never going to use you again, and we're not going to come in and help you. I mean, there's a two-way street there that we have to be very careful of. I mean,
I just curious if there was any.
the state police comes in to run a track for us and they send us a bill because we sent them a bill for searching a vehicle for them, where's it stop? Yeah.
Linda?
Yeah, but that's not,
But
We get the contracted prices state police gets.
but, yeah, which includes all of the towns in Maine.
Same with tires. We fall under state bid for tires, so we get them at the state police, state cost.
And that's at a reduced cost because they're buying such quantity. But because you buy a new Tahoe off the lot, it's going to be more money. Yeah, yeah.
So Chief, everybody said, I got a couple of questions that popped in my head as well. Again, the age of the dog. If the dog was to be, I don't know what the service life is of a dog.
His sixth birthday is today, by the way.
Happy birthday to him. So, would we consider replacing that canine?
I would
future.
definitely fight for another drug dog. Absolutely.
Kind of what would a cost of another dog, because we're buying a car, would obviously would have that expense already done, but what would the cost of another canine be?
Depending on the certifications, in this case, probably 12 grand.
Okay. Then my last question, based on the evaluation you gave me of is a 2018 with 105K on it. Do we have any other older cars, which would be, and I know it doesn't
That
change.
is the oldest car in the fleet.
That is the oldest. Okay,
Yeah.
I just wondered, we better swap them around and let somebody else drive that one.
Mine's a 2019, so that's next. Right, Roy?
Another year.
Yeah, squeeze another one out of it. Okay, I appreciate thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? So,
Do you want me to circle back to Roy's question?
yeah, I definitely do, but. Okay.
Priorities. The figures, option 1, 2, 3 from last meeting had a loader figure in there of 75,000.
Mm.
On this sheet, the loader figure is 58,000. What's the difference in price?
Nick, do you know?
So are you looking at the actual CIP plan? CIP plan?
CIP items 2027.
So that is based on a 3-year, I believe, schedule. I would have to look at the CIP plan. That $75,000 was talked about at our meeting when we put together this list.
With the directors.
Yes.
Okay, and so the 58 is generated like a 3-year schedule.
Yeah, I would have to look at the CIP plan. I think it was either 3 or 2. I want to say 3.
Sounds like if you're talking a new loader, I would say probably 3.
Okay.
But the cost of it.
I think the cost was 140.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so at 75,000, we're not talking about 3 years then.
No, it'd be 2-year at that point.
Okay.
Well, assuming that we put aside another 70-something thousand dollars next year. Which is a good segue to get to your question, if I may.
It's life.
So I can't answer that. Public Works Director will be here next time.
We talked about it being a little rusty, but I want to know if there's last year we spent a little bit of money and didn't break
pins
down.
and pins too, didn't we?
Yep.
I think maybe.
What's that?
Thought we did bucket pins too, or was that on the skid steer? Yeah. Yeah.
So again, outside my bailiwick. So when the Public Works Director's here next week,
Yeah.
please ask him about that. So to get to your question, Roy, and it sort of speaks to, what we could do, say, next year for loader money, is you may recall initially that 1.15 million was 2.3 million. And so we narrowed it down to the 7 priorities with the intention of saying, once we know what the surplus money is from this year, that we would go back and bring a recommendation to you to appropriate some of those surplus funds for the different capital reserves to address some of the other needs, because the other needs were not things that we were looking at acquiring or improving immediately. It was building capital reserves so that we could do those things in the future.
The loader's not either if we're only doing 75,000.
That is true.
We're not.
That is true, but it's a big ticket item, and given sort of the financial structure of what we got here, we thought it was doable, workable. Ultimately, you guys decide what projects we're going to do and at what amount, to Jim's earlier point. But we have a new recommendation regarding what we do with the surplus monies. And again, I emailed you guys about this earlier. We think now, once we know what the surplus monies is, we set it aside. We don't touch it for a year. We wait until next spring when we know what our priority capital needs are and apply those dollars to whatever those needs are. And again, that's simply a way of trying to mitigate the impact of the revaluation. Like we'll have a pot of money there that we can already draw from in order to address our highest priority capital needs without having to raise and appropriate additional dollars to address those.
Do you think, one question I have is,
Mhm.
do you think if we were to do that, do you think there is a chance of having and I'm only saying this because of the situation with the reval, a flat budget, a 0% increase next year to taxpayers? As far as the total, overall budget, is there a chance, do you think, that we could have a 0% increase? Because that would mitigate, that right there would, I say this, kind of stifle a lot of the stigma of, prices going through the roof due to taxes rather than valuation.
One good year will save us, Willie.
What's that?
One good year will save us.
Well, no, I'm just
You're
saying,
right.
if we had a flat budget, we're not spending any more money as a town. It is, whatever happens to the valuation is strictly due to the value of each property.
So I'll say this.
It's not because we're jacking the rates up.
I'll say this. So first of all, well, a couple of different thoughts. You have a better chance of being able to accomplish that if you set the surplus money aside and don't use it until next year to fund one-time costs. You'll hear me say this a million times. We should not put that towards ongoing operating expenses because it's a one-time revenue source. The second thing is that that's too hard to predict. I would not tell you, yeah, we can do that. And especially when you look at for two reasons, I wouldn't predict that. You look at the economy the way it is right now. And so who knows what the price of gas is going to be a year from now? Who knows what interest rates are going to be from now? Who knows what the cost of any sort of good or service is going to be a year from now? And we know that, we'll have some sort of natural growth in expenses and in payroll. And so, those things are hard to predict. The second reason I would say that is because I think we've done a really good job of maximizing revenues the last 2 years, and especially when it comes to the ambulance service and dispatch. But eventually, you're going to have to level out with that. And so we won't see the sort of growth in, let's say, ambulance revenues that we've seen the last couple of years. We can anticipate vehicle excise tax revenues are going to grow year over year because they always do, but we don't know what interest earnings are going to be, for instance. And so we hope, Nick and I may be the only two Americans that hope that interest rates sort of stay where they are right now, because that generates more interest income for us that will add to that surplus that will help to offset and mitigate some of the impact of the revaluation in FY28.
People not.
Well, so two things. So one, I fancy myself a pretty good communicator, so we will let the public know. And then it'll be up to citizens to actually engage with that content so that they understand what's happening with the revaluation. And two, Steve McDermott and I have been having some conversations, and I sent him some information earlier today, and we're going to present this to you when the assessor's here next time. But when the town last revalued, the year that took effect, the tax levy increased by a whopping 2.5%. That's not that much money for a tax levy, a multi-million-dollar tax levy to increase by 2.5%. The next year, it actually went down. So again, it goes to my point that whatever we raise in taxes is completely within the control of the 7 people sitting at this table.
Okay, Linda.
Is a whole different ballgame. it is not the same reval as.
All we've heard, Linda, is
I can tell you right now, if the school and the town think after we get through this reval, if we're going to be getting 4 or 5% increases on top of all the new taxes that are going on, potentially whatever we decide here as a council, think again, those budgets will not pass. They're not passing around the country. I've seen a lot of towns in a lot of different states. These budgets are not passing. The affordability issue in these towns right now is huge. Everything has gone up, and people's salaries have not gone up in the same manner. And these costs are increasing from energy costs to food to everything else. And if you think it's going to continue, it's not, because people are going to get fed up. They're already fed up. And that's the thing. What I'm saying is, I don't mind, I'm probably not going to vote for it anyways, but I mean, between option 1 and 2, I agree with Zach. You're going to have to find a middle ground here with some of this stuff. But I don't think you can do nothing. But at the same time, I don't think you can do number 1. And the other thing here is, you've got the revenues. Remember something, you're using the revenues, the excess revenues over expenses. You're taking that. So that's going to be that much less next year. You're going to have to assume you're going to get the same level of revenues coming in over expenses, which I don't know that we will. I have no idea. So there's a lot more moving parts to this. And again, if the school thinks they're going to continue the way they are, I hope they vote them down every year. I mean, but again, it's with the reval coming up, there's especially this reval, if you look across the state and what the revals have cost, it's enormous costs.
the only reason I brought up that data is because all we've heard is how crushingly disastrous the last reval was. And the fact is that the levy increased by 2.5%. And then it went down the year after that.
Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do some simple math in my head, it's simple brain, simple math. But if the property reevaluation goes up 50%, we keep talking about, well, it's only going to be $2 a thousand or more, and that sounds not so bad. But the bottom line is, if the property reevaluation goes up by 50%, the taxes are going to go up by 50%.
That is not true. That's not true. Your mill rate comes down when your values go up if you're generating the same amount of taxes.
This assumes the mill rate come down. It didn't last time.
That is not true either. It went from 22 something to 12 something. I've got the data. I've got the data on my
Still
computer.
ended up costing many people more money.
It redistributes how much people are paying
according to their value.
according to the value of their property.
Yes.
And that's Roy's point with if you went and added a $200,000 addition onto your house, if we're flat with what we are here, and that's why I'm between 2 and 3, because if we can keep this low enough, and I know we have operating costs we got to account for going forward, but if we could find ways to put money in these accounts on some level to kind of start that process, but not go up all the way, we position ourselves in a spot where we know we more likely than not will be able to lower the mill rate more than we would have if we didn't do that. So. But it's a complicated problem, right?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, so here's what we're needing.
Suggestion.
Okay,
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Cruiser, we have some money in an account.
we do.
$19,849.
Paul, a Cruiser, one of the regular Explorers is approximately 65,000 outfitted in order to. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to come up with a.
What we anticipate and what we've been borrowing is 60,500.
Okay. All right. So I would say plan on thoughts here, not recommendations. I guess my thoughts are Cruiser, instead of the 81,000, designate 65,000 to it. Public Works loader, I would be okay with putting that initially on a 4-year schedule instead of a 2-year schedule at $37,500. Take from the calculations, because we don't know on the radio upgrades what that's really going to be. We're waiting on the engineering and all that, and so we can set it out for RFP. I would be all for putting some money to it, but maybe drop it 25,000, and then half of the remaining $100,000 for revaluation. When is that actually due? Like complete payable?
That's why it's only half. So we're on a glide path to paying for that. And instead of raising the full 100,000, we're going to pay 50,000 in FY27. At the end of FY27, 50,000 in FY28.
I guess I would leave that the way it is, and then fund the EMS. I think that's wise, where we're getting contributions from the other communities. I think that would be. Plus, we've already made a commitment with the other communities and given them numbers. And do what we had planned on for paving and the ladder truck, what you had listed.
So what did you have for radio communications? Okay, so let me point one thing out. With the cruiser, if you only dedicate, you said 65,000, you're going to reduce the capital reserve to $4,000, essentially.
I suppose if we.
That would, yeah.
We can take it out of surplus.
Yeah.
They get.
Chief, can you come back up real quick? Because I got a question that popped in my head again about that cruiser. Can you come back up for a minute, please? I'm sorry. Because to your point, when you're talking about it, I know you're saying you're talking about getting a different cruiser model, Tahoe or Expedition, so you can cage it up so you could, just devil's advocate, if we were to just buy an Explorer like you have today, put the cage in it like you have today, and you wouldn't have it, because usually we got a couple of people on patrol, so somebody could pick up if you had a suspect to put them in the cruiser.
One of the problems we're having is even our regular patrol units out there, we have so much equipment in those vehicles.
Yeah.
We have no place to put anything else.
I understood.
I'm serious.
No,
Now you
I
take
understand it, yeah.
the K9 in an Explorer, and you've got all that extra K9 equipment. You got a 50-pound bag of food in the back, their water.
Yeah.
Plus everything else that's required for them to have as the patrol. There's just not enough room. That's why we looked at going to either the Expedition
Or the Tahoe.
Or the Tahoe.
Okay, thank you. No, it just popped in my head as like, what would be, just to try to reduce it, but thank you. Roy, I'm sorry to cut you off.
So how much money then under your plan would you be saving, Roy?
You had 37 on the loader.
Okay. I guess my concern, and again, I think it is important to look at this in context. $12.3 million budget, $328,000 delta. Option 2 raises taxes by an additional $100,000 and puts us again on a path towards having more of the levy contributing to capital reserves moving forward. And I just wonder if by reducing these numbers, it's going to feel great this year, and it may not feel nearly as great next year.
Wait, and we get some numbers real quick. Can I just make a suggestion? You talked, and it popped something in my head when we were talking about
78.
how we're getting other plans, like EMS, getting more revenue from that sort of thing in the communications, which is great. Oftentimes some organizations, we do like a Gemba walk. How can we reduce and repurpose or more efficient? Have we introduced or thought about doing any of that? in some of the departments.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand
So
what you
it's
said.
a Gemba walk. We do it at our.
A Gemba walk?
A Gemba walk. It's a Japanese process. It's can you go into your department and other people from other departments walk in? How can you be more efficient and reduce the costs? Because where are you wasting money? Where are you wasting time? And, oftentimes you find that in a lot of different locations or different businesses. And people don't think of it because that's just how we've always done it, right? So that's how they always do it. But you have somebody come in, maybe, and they use your directors or use other people from other departments saying, hey, show me your day, how you plan it out, or how does that work? And how can you reduce costs to be more efficient? Sometimes they don't find anything, but I think it might be valuable to look into doing something like that, because people may not think and say, hey, well, you're over here. And I'm not picking on Public Works, but just say I'm using Public Works example, not that they're not efficient, but they're over here today and, except they're on the other side of town tomorrow. Well, it would have been more efficient to know you had to do a job this way. And I'm sure he's already thinking of it, but those type of things, to your point, when you might find ways to save money or improve efficiencies down the road, which would help what we spend and keep the revenues up and what we spend down. So it's just something I wrote down because we do it at my place of business now. We have senior leaderships go around and they just watching. And sometimes having somebody outside who's not part of it saying, well, why do you do it that way? So I think it helps,
So I'm certainly not opposed to that. I think we should always be looking for better ways of doing things. But having said that, I will also remind you guys that operating expenses are increasing 1.5%.
No, I understand.
I'd challenge you to find another town in the state of Maine where the increase in operating expense is only 1.5%.
And I'm just feeling some airtime too, by the way, to help us.
Especially given what the economy is. I mean, apologies in advance, Linda, but I'm going to take you to task. I don't understand why an operating budget that increases 1.5% would be of concern to you. If I were a council member, I'd be doing cartwheels.
Can you do a cartwheel?
Huh?
Can you do a cartwheel? We'll get that out.
Are we wanting to increase our workers' comp claims?
It'd be after the meeting, of course.
We do have a paramedic in the house, though.
Ready to show them what you might have. There you go.
Okay, and then what happens with that money? The 76,000.
Just say they're surplus.
It's gonna reduce the amount.
Right, to raise and appropriate.
Okay, but again, if we're going to increase taxes by $25,000, let's say, then and I'm just playing devil's advocate. Ultimately, this is y'all's decision, but it's not going to put us on a path towards incorporating more of our ongoing capital cost into our tax levy. I think we have to look beyond FY27. We have to look beyond FY27.
So you're suggesting.
I'm suggesting option 2.
Option 2.
Which we'd have to raise, Linda. It wouldn't go back into surplus. It's what we're raising.
Right.
Revenues.
We would still have surplus, but we would apply that surplus towards our FY28 capital needs.
But you're using $575,000 as opposed to this surplus. Option 2.
Yes. We don't know what the surplus is going to be, but it's going to be healthy. I mean, I send you guys the monthly financials each month. We're performing great on our expense budget, and we've blown revenue out of the water. So,
using option 2, what is the entire, looking at the budget and everything else, what are we looking at for?
well, again, that's what we're hoping to do tonight, is like get some direction from you.
Yeah.
So that we can then go back and refine the numbers and come to you with what's going to happen with the tax levy, the amount of taxes that we collect.
Yep.
And then we'll do our best projection on what will happen with the mill rates, knowing that there are two unknowns. When we do that, we won't know what the increase in property values will be for this year. That we won't know that until the assessor actually commits the taxes. And we won't know what the overlay is.
So why don't we do this real quick?
Okay.
So I don't want to keep wasting it, and we give you
No,
guys.
I think we're having good conversation.
I do too. I just want to make sure that we have like some suggestions back to you. If people like that option, great. If people want to change it or give you thoughts from there, but Zach, I'll just go around the table and just, do you have any thoughts of where you're standing with the CIP? What you'd like to see, or what?
Yeah, well, we're looking at Roy's cuts there, right? So if we go option 2, and this is just my spreadsheet I kind of slapped together, but he's cutting 76,000. So that'd be taking 25 from the communication tower. It'd be reducing the cruiser amount from 81 by 16 to 65, and then it'd be reducing the loader by 35,000 to 40. If we go with option 2 and those adjustments, the tax raise remaining is only 27,000. So, and I know we're kind of arguing over pennies. I think that's, as Anthony's point there, but I would like to see that 103,000 number be a little lower personally for me, just because I want it to be as flat as it can be.
No, understood. Roy, you would,
Just about
as you presented. Okay.
Just about the same boat.
Okay. Appreciate it. Shannon?
So looking at options 1, 2, and 3, I do not want to raise and appropriate more taxes than we need to. So, but I do want to raise and appropriate some. I would have to go with option 2.
With no,
I do agree. I mean, I like prioritizing things. So I'm not opposed to making certain cuts. I mean, especially when we're looking at the communication upgrade, if we could get an RFP out and have a better idea. I mean, everything like we expected came in a little less with drainage for the library, maybe certain things come in less here and there. So just until we get that.
great. Aaron?
Yeah, I'm good with option 2.
No discussion of what maybe Zach or Roy presented?
No, I mean, I agree that if we find different priorities, I just think the overall amount in option 2 right now kind of splits it in half. And I think whether you want to shift some priorities would be fine with me. But I would certainly say not more than that amount. Let's put it that way.
Great, thank you. Andy?
I'm kind of not ready for a consensus with option 2. I will reiterate that when the reeval occurs, if the property value is up 75% or 25%, okay, the taxes are going to go up. We need to be prepared to drop the mill rate, because if we don't, if we keep a flat mill rate, people are going to get slammed.
So
It can't happen what happened last time.
So can I, the
Yes,
mill
please
rate was
speak. Yep.
half of what it was last time, Andy.
Makes no difference.
And we don't set the mill rate. You guys don't set the mill rate. The assessor does. You determine what the budget is going to be. And so in doing so, you will know exactly how much taxes that you have to raise. That's your purview right there.
Yeah. Okay, Linda, what did you think about the same? Linda, just make sure you're getting the mic.
I'm okay with what you folks, have. I'd like to see from Anthony what the numbers are, with and without it. Option 2, and then with what you folks have proposed.
Okay. For me, I'm on those same party lines. I guess I can't think of really quick because you don't have it. You just show here really quick. It's 23.4-24.57. Where are we at currently right now? Is it
2310.
2310? So that gives me what's going to be to increase. Okay.
So I'm going to make one last pitch for option 2.
Sure.
So eventually, I think we discussed this previously. Eventually, we agree that if we're going to do, let's say, $500,000 worth of paving each year, that should probably be part of the mill rate. At $103,000, that gets us to 20% of the way. If we reduce that by another $75,000, then once we get past the reval, that's why I'm saying we need to take the long view of this. Once we get past the reval in 2029, we're a long ways away from incorporating $500,000 worth of paving into the mill rate. And I'm not suggesting that would all be done in 1 year. It should be a phased approach. But again, that's why I'm encouraging you guys to take a longer view than just what's going to happen in FY '27.
C2 of the. C2.
Yeah,
And we can definitely do that.
that's, and I was just going to make that suggestion. I think right now you have some direction. I think we'd like to see what their proposal from either Zach, our combination of Zach and Roy have pitched a little bit to see what it would do and see what it does to that final number or close to an estimate. Yeah, and then I think that's kind of, I think for me, and I know nobody said this, but I don't think option one's even a plan for me, and nor is option 3. So if we're toying with anything, if anything by this group here, I think options 2 is the closest thing that we want to say. So I think don't plan on having to present much more than that.
Two-ish.
Yeah.
Two-ish, yeah.
Two-ish. That you can make a new option 1 and 2 or A and B on the option 2, right?
So that Richard's not too forlorn back there. Do we have any thoughts as to what we might do with the library? Or do we want to just wait?
I would like
Hear
to
from
wait.
Mr. Longfellow?
I'd like to hear from Longfellow
And then again,
and also have Kevin here.
and have Kevin here, but also, again, my thought was off the top of my head that, maybe because of the cost, maybe that's something that we could actually dip into the undesignated fund.
Sure, I don't think it's unreasonable. I'd just like to ask a few more questions around that, because I'd also like to try to get him, if he'd likes to have looking at a sign, looking at the steps, or that sort of thing. How can we, biggest bang for our buck to help them, but, without being so inflated, if we could try to do that.
Yeah, because I agree with Aaron. Like the 103 is kind of where I can accept 103 right now, but if we have to eat into that by sending it to the library, we can't include that LED fund in that. So that number goes up if we do have to put that money towards that.
It depends.
Or we take more from the undesignated, right? So,
Right.
but I'd like to see it before we make a decision.
Correct.
So that being the case, the next item was how we were going to appropriate that 79,000. It doesn't sound like we're there yet. So
I don't
maybe
think so.
we should just hold off on that until.
We can either
we
table it or
reach
can I
the
just
perspective.
cross it?
I recommend we table item number 97,
Second.
resolution 2026-7.
Zach seconding it.
Second.
All in
Sorry.
favor?
Aye.
Aaron? Okay. All are in favor? Thank you, guys.
Wait, y'all got ahead of me. Who seconded that?
Zach, it.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I'm going to just,
I think so.
you think so?
we're
Nick,
missing?
you're good. There's a thumbs up. You're comfortable. Thank you, pal. Appreciate it. Richard, thank you.
Yeah.
You too, chief. Take care. All right, so that's off the table. Let's go to items 98, consideration of order 2026-06, amending the main PERS.
Main PERS.
Main PERS, okay. Main PERS retirement plan.
So this is, go ahead, Shannon.
Oh, I was going to go ahead and make a motion.
Okay.
I'll move to approve order 2026-06 to amend the main PERS retirement plan as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, we're gonna,
This is simply, so you guys will recall that we changed the retirement plan for our EMS personnel when we last did their collective bargaining agreement. This is part of the police collective bargaining agreement where they're going on to the same plan that the
Right.
paramedics and EMTs are, not open to civilians. So this would sort of be our last 3C group that would be taking on this.
thank you. All right, any other discussion? All are in favor? Aaron?
Aye.
All are in favor. Thank you, guys. Let's move on to items 99, consideration of April 2026 disbursement warrants.
Make a motion to approve the April 2026 disbursement.
Second.
Any discussion with that? Okay, all are in favor? Aaron?
Aye.
Okay, all are in favor. Thank you. Items 100, consideration of recommendations from the appointments committee.
At this time,
Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to, yes, well, there's none at this time, yeah. Any other business? In other businesses, we're going to talk about public comments. Any public comment now? We get to the end of the meeting.
If someone online has public comment, if they would raise their digital hand, I'll unmute you.
All right. I don't see any, so we'll jump on to the manager's report, please.
Just a couple of things. I mentioned about the downtown plan update. Charter Commission, so they did approve a final report this past week, and so we'll be presenting that to you folks on June the 1st, and then you can order that to be part of the November general election. Doesn't sound like we'll be ready for a budget vote next time. So what do we think about continuing this discussion? And then at our second meeting in June, that's when we'll have our public hearing and in consideration of the budget.
Sounds fair.
Okay.
That's this, everybody? Okay, thank you. See you, Chief.
One of the things that we will need to do is we need to re-enroll in the Community Resilience Partnership program. You have to do that like every 2 years. That process involves revisiting the self-evaluation that we did at the time that we initially enrolled and the community action. So that's going to be on the June 1st meeting as well. We've had a couple of people suggest that we should look into a couple of different tax break programs. One is for farms. One is a means-tested senior tax deferral ordinance. I'm interested in whether or not you're interested in learning more about this. I'll share my own opinion about this. I think there are a lot of different programs that farmers and ranchers can enroll in to help offset some of their tax costs. So I don't know that we necessarily need another one. For the seniors, there are also some programs for seniors, but at least that one is means tested. During my service on the LPC, you may have seen the list that I sent to you that listed the different bills and the different stances that the LPC took. And I philosophically agree with this. We opposed any bill that singled out a specific group or demographic or niche for tax relief, because our position was we want tax relief for all. And so I do agree with that stance, but if you guys want to explore a senior tax deferral ordinance, then we can definitely do the research on that.
Linda has a question. Mike, Linda.
Comment. I mean, I know we should be looking at tax relief across the board. I mean, that's completely where I'm at. But, I know in my hometown in Connecticut, there was a deferral program for seniors, not a deferral from all taxes, just the increase. So any increase in taxes would be against a lien on the property when the person either, sells or passes or whatever. I would be in favor of doing something means tested on that, only because I think that with the seniors, I'm very concerned with people not being able to stay in their home.
Linda, was something at the state? You're being there, so I'm just asking you, is that still on the table?
Fairness credits, there's all, whatever, but the towns have the ability.
Yeah, no, I know.
To defer, like if you have an increase of $10 or $20 a month or whatever it is.
The state had something in place for a year and then it got flipped back.
Yeah, but that was across the board. That was everybody. Like it wasn't means tested.
Okay.
It was basically anybody that had any increase could say, doesn't matter. They could be a millionaire.
Yeah. Sorry.
So to me, I think that I would be in favor of looking at that because I am concerned, especially with the reval coming up.
Thank you.
These people are going to stay in their homes.
So you're talking about a tax deferral, Anthony.
Just for the increase, not for the taxes. See, what happens is like what happened in Connecticut is, and that was down there for years, is if your taxes this year is $500 and under this scenario, it goes up for $50. That $50 going forward would be deferred and it would be basically a lien against the house.
Eventually it's captured.
Oh yeah, eventually it's captured.
If the property is sold or transferred,
Yeah,
Even if it's gifted, it would be, it would be
Yeah, I
cash.
think
it would
she's saying
have
it's
to be,
basically
it would
a lien-
have to be,
The lien against the property.
it would have to be recaptured. I don't know what the language is, but it'd have to be recaptured. That's where I'm at.
Andy?
Yeah, I tend to lean towards what Linda said. I was exposed to the same kind of circumstances. Now that she's admitted from being out of state, I'm from New Jersey, so. And also, I would point out that, you know, we just went through an issue with senior taxes that was hard to deal with. And also, I would point out that we have had appeals from various people for rent control, okay, especially in mobile home parks. And mostly, for the most part, those parks are semi-retired people. And this might be a way of helping out a little bit without, you know, I am not in favor of rent control, but this may be a way of helping out a little.
Great, thank you. Anthony, I'll let you continue.
I'm done.
You done with the manager's report? Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but is that something y'all want us to explore?
Particularly the seniors one.
I'd have to see it, but yeah,
Rent
maybe.
control, I'm not-
Yeah.
No, I wasn't, I'm just saying we were asked about rent control and we turned it down, and I am not interested in rent control, but this might be just a way we can give some people a little break.
Tell me about the farm one. I mean, what were the details on that? What were they?
Farm and open space, right?
So farmers can take advantage of open space, tree growth, and there is one other
Don't we already
program.
do the tree growth though?
Yes,
Yeah, so,
Space through the state.
no, but you're saying there's something new that,
there's something different.
what,
And let me forward you guys some of the details.
I'm just interested.
Okay.
I'm curious, sounds like people want to hear about it. So I think I think that's important that,
Be fun.
we'll get that. So, thank you.
Day of Care and Go.
It didn't.
Oh.
Because of the weather and we were anticipating and the town manager, the town manager was under the weather, and so. I mean, I know our public works department did some stuff.
Yeah, they participated. So, all right, so we're done with the manager's report. Council, have any more comments? Zach?
I have something.
Okay, hold on, we're gonna let Zach go.
Yeah, this is real quick. I really don't want to muddy the water, but I just, Anthony, you said that we couldn't use the TIF money, and I didn't want to get into the conversation when we were talking because we didn't specify it initially, or whoever did it initially. Can you give us a list of what we could use it for? And then we just really need to be careful going forward if we do another one, because we want to make sure that we don't get ourselves in this pickle again, because you want to be able to yeah.
I will. So it's just like one page in the contract. I'll send you guys the contract, but it's pretty limiting.
Okay, yeah. I'd like to, we can increase it, right? If we were to do something.
If we do a new TIF district, we can set up, as long as the state agrees to it, whatever parameters that we'd like.
Yeah, okay, perfect. That's all I needed.
Hold on.
Okay, so this is town council comment, okay? I've been kind of thinking about this for a while. What that usually means that you or me or I'm in trouble, okay? Please recall that originally Lou Carrier, when he was in charge of the mill, offered to allow us to lease permanently the two ponds out in the back of Morton Street, put a skate park back there. There's about a 5-acre tract. Okay, and we're now in a position where we're negotiating with the mill over a number of things, and some problems have come up. So here's kind of and I haven't talked to department heads about any of this, briefly here and there, but it's really not something that I should do, start making plans, get Anthony after me and everything. But we're talking about expanding communication in the Rat Hole Police Station. Why don't we move the communications to rec, okay? And I mentioned establish at Town Park and the skating pond at the end of Morton. Move the ball field where the town garage is now that we're not allowed to use. See if we can get them to allow us to move the ball field over that park. Okay, there's power down there. We got a skate park, we got a ball field. All right. And then we could expand public works right on site, including removing that one old shed and put the sand shed right there. Okay. And then, because I'm the town council rep to the planning board, I know there's huge problems with Morton and Clark. They're both two-way streets, and the parking for the new units wants to be over on the Clark side, and there's no way you're going to get two-way traffic on that street. This is a biggie, but we could make those streets one-way in opposite directions and bridge the stream. The mill owns enough property back there that property could be used. You could turn at the end of Morton, okay, and go straight across, all right? And then, what else do we got here? That means building a bridge over the stream, okay? And the other thing is, there was some discussion, and I haven't been authorized by the planning board to say this, but it has been discussed. That big chimney over there, I'm thinking, when you consider that they're talking about splitting ownership of that building 25 years down the road when that chimney has to come down and the bricks fall off it, who's going to take it down? I think that issue needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. It's a public safety issue.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
if anybody wants me to write that up, I will.
Nope. Appreciate your thoughts on that. Roy? Okay. Yeah, I thought you did.
No compliments or anything?
Thanks, Jim.
I got thinking about the police cruiser after we kind of closed the discussion. The Winthrop Monmouth, co-op with the police department. What is the plan? What does it look like? What does the outlook look like for, as far as the equipment, as far as, are we still going to be keeping the separate budgets for vehicles and or we plan on combining the two of them?
Yeah, everyone would be contributing to the infrastructure of that department,
Okay.
Monmouth and Winthrop.
And this is kind of minuscule.
And this is really something that the police chief needs to be in the room to discuss as well.
Just curious as to what you've
Direction.
obviously had some discussion. Cost of that.
The intent is to have one budget.
Maybe a shared expense. Okay.
That's what I was wondering.
Thank you.
No, when the intent that is supposed to, I think we talked 27.
Yeah, so Monmouth voters will be voting on it during their town meeting this year.
Andy, I know you brought those topics up to me before, and I think we can have a discussion about it at some point. I know one thing I do fear, and I think I told you, I think Firehouse Field down by the town garage is written the way, because we looked into this before, we can't get rid of that as a ball field because it will go back to the property owners that donated it. We couldn't, unless they want to rewrite it to a point where we could use it for the town garage, which they may have, but it has to, I know there's specific uses when that property got donated. It was just for a ball field. So I think it'd probably be a great idea if we could expand it down there, but I don't think it won't be as simple as.
The deeds run with the property, and if the property owner agrees.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. We can't just do it.
No. We'd have to make another discussion around it. So I think
that's all.
We can talk about it. So great.
There's a lot of things in that little list that Kevin needs to be talked to.
Yep.
Police chief needs to be talked to. This is just like let's look at a wider horizon here.
Sure. All right. So, all right, I'll entertain going into executive session.
So move pursuant to section.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all are in favor. Thank you for who was online. Have a good night.